Aye. Tom, you ready?
Ready.
We're going to open our work session for Tuesday, May 9th. Specific topic to be discussed is healthcare insurance renewal. I'm going to turn it over to our administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. I want to start by saying it was actually relatively painless. It was totally painless this time. It's painless every time. Thanks to Huntington, to Mark Wessner, this year Bill McCarran, and always Lisa Brown. But this time it was cut and dry. And I'll turn it over to the Huntington group to explain why, and just let them go through the marketing and the renewal, but it's a pretty easy decision.
That's up here.
Yes.
So, I can never go anywhere without talking a little bit, but I wanted to just spend a couple minutes and let you know that I'm retiring. A legend. But January 1st is the target date. I'll probably do some consulting and working with Huntington on a reduced hour basis. We'll see how that goes. But I was very fortunate when I came to Huntington, actually recruited and asked to come in, which was really a great thing. But anyway, I was able to recruit my replacement. And so I threw a lasso over Bill McCarran, who I've known for years, and he specializes in self-funding and group health insurance, and has for years with various third-party administrators, Sumicare, Mutual Health Services, which is an MMO third-party administrator. So I feel really great about being able to pass on my clients to somebody I know and I trust. So I wanted to be here tonight and talk with you a little bit about that and let you know what's happening and how that transition looks. I'm still working with Lisa and Bill, and kind of in the back, behind the draperies a little bit. If they need me, I try to consult and help a little bit. So that said, I think we'd be very pleased with your renewal, and I also wanted to say it's been a pleasure working with you for the last 3 years. It's great to know you, to have met you, and very much appreciate your business and your friendship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
And Mark is going to ham and egg it with me a little bit today too, so he's not going too far away. I appreciate being able to work with you as well. As Mark said, I've been in the business about 28 years. Started when I was 10. But yeah, it's been great working with Lisa through this and through the process. And All Care has been a good partner through this as well. So some of the trends we see going on there right now in the marketplace is All Care is now allowing their other networks to access their hospitals. So that's changing the marketplace a little bit. Medical Mutual has that now. Anthem is working on that right now, and United Healthcare has that right now. So that's trying to change things a little bit. A little too early to see how much that's going to change. As you can see, we shop the marketplace for you. Some of the trends out there are, of course, double digits still, 11%, 7% on medical, 11% on prescriptions we're seeing out there as well. So there is concern in the marketplace, but the nice thing is All Care, because they're feeling some of that market pressure, has come in with a good offer, and we said, well, we need to make it better. So if you look at page 1, looking at your current situation and looking at your current numbers, $40,000 specific with a 12-15 contract, and looking at the initial renewal being about a just under 5% increase on the specific rates. We were able to negotiate and talk to them a little bit and drop that down to 2.5%. So we're pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, I mean, ecstatic.
That's pretty much inflation.
Yeah, because usually we get, the first pass is like a 14% increase.
Mm-hmm.
When we got that initial almost 5% increase, we were pretty happy. But working with Huntington, they knew that looking at, we weren't happy with some of the increases, that they could go back. That increase now, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, as Lisa said, we weren't sure we were going to be able to do much with it, but it's always worth asking, especially in the marketplace the way it is right now. There's competition now. So we pushed back a little bit, and we were able to get what we wanted. Not that we thought we'd get it, but what we wanted. So we're very pleased with that. You can see the aggregate attachment did go up about overall the 8%, if you look at the whole program, annual projected costs on the bottom, the green line, at a little over $1 million, now down to about a little bit less than that, 7.27% increase overall. So once again, keep in mind the aggregate is not dollars that are premiums, they're projections, and no one generally reaches that level.
Correct.
It's more a projection, not the true cost. So if you're taking any bit of an increase, it's on those soft dollars where you want that, because that's where you're going to attempt to manage some of those costs, put programs in place to try to keep that trend down. And we're going to talk about some of those changes later. Any questions on that? Mark, did you want to add anything?
No, thank you. I think you covered it well. The important thing is we've discussed before, I guess I lied, the aggregate attachment point, those are factors, those are funding factors that capture maximum liability throughout the year. So it's not really a cost increase, it's just something that addresses trend, which is inflation and increasing utilization potentially.
And that literally is 25% over what they're projected. So once again, that's why you can't really say per se that's what it's going to cost us.
Correct.
But obviously, as a municipality, you need that protection on your
I
liability.
mean, just so the department heads understand, this is just, for your budget, a fantastic renewal.
Yes.
It's probably, I think in the 11, 12 years I've been here, the best renewal we've
I was
had.
gonna say, I don't, 7.5 years, I've been super heavy hands-on.
Yeah, and I think in part because of the competition,
Yeah.
but in part too, of the wellness factors that have been put in place in the plan, the changes to the plan too, with the, step therapy, the prescription changes, the overall changes to the plan, and I think that we have users now who are more educated and are making better use of the plan too, so.
Yeah, and all those factors build into it. Obviously, with self-funding, you can control some of those and manage some of those costs and make changes where fully insured, sometimes you're kind of locked in a box so much you can do.
Yeah,
Okay.
we feel like we should have a celebration.
But we vote opinion on it. Page 2 kind of just goes over the effective date and some of the rates that you have in place right now, kind of a redundancy, so I won't really spend a lot of time on that. Page 3 is your current medical and prescription setup as it is built out right now. You see the non-network and network levels, and we'll talk about some of the changes down the line about that, but that just currently reflects where you are right now today as a snapshot. Page 4 shows that obviously with Huntington Insurance, we do not stand with any carrier. We go out to the marketplace, go out to many different markets to see what's available, what's out there. And you can see some of them we were able to quote, some we didn't, some declines out there. And part of that can be, they're just not comfortable with the risk, or based on your long history with all care, they may say, it may not be worth our time this year. Or they may feel that they can't be competitive based on where you currently are right now, and they kind of figure out what all care is going to do for renewal and say we're not going to play in that market right now. So you can see we went to a lot of markets, we did get a number of declines. And the next pages, you'll see some of the quotes we received, and you can see the market did not match where all care was coming in at. So all care was doing a good job as far as the overall rates. We went out to other stop loss insurance too to see if there was a better stop loss offerings that we could show to you, not instead of all care, and it just really wasn't there in the marketplace, unfortunately. But
That's
it did
where you
us,
see like the 23% increase, and I mean, there's.
and that's where the fixed cost is probably the most important thing to kind of look at there. There's some major differences there in the market for you, and it's something that it's great to see that all care literally came in with a fair renewal initially, and the market could have dictated that they come in higher, but due to their positioning and what's going on, I think they said, let's make it a fair renewal right from the get-go, instead of the 15 points you talked about earlier. But what I will say based on this too is also, if you flip to the next page, you can see some of the other quotes, that next year, as these carriers become more accustomed to what they're getting in the network with Altman Hospital as far as their discounts, they're going to probably be a little bit more aggressive in pricing. So what that says is, even next year, you're going to have some leverage next year, which is good. Even with your inflationary cost and trend, the market should dictate some offerings because they're going to want to get the business. I know Medical Mutual right now is investing money in this area, They're wanting to try to grow their business in this area, so you're going to see competition really heat up over the next 12 months, which will be great for you for your next renewal. And then you can see the several pages of notes here as far as the different quotes out there, but once again, All Care was the best numbers available for you there. Any questions or about the overall renewal or medical trend or prescription that you had a question about?
It's nice to see him come out of the gate with this instead of, we have this meeting, you guys go back, we may make a little headway or decent headway, have to hold a special meeting or something.
It's nice to.
This is the way the business should be conducted on their behalf. Anyhow.
It's 300%.
And it's nice, our relationship with Huntington, and then the relationship I've developed, especially with Michelle Page at All Care. She just makes our lives easy with insurance questions, and she's going to go out with rotator cuff surgery, and I'm sure whoever steps in will be great, but they're not Michelle. But she's fantastic there, so.
There's good people working on your account.
Yeah, we do have good people on our account. So I'm glad to see that staying the same.
Yeah.
And that's why I said it's pretty cut and dry, which,
Just because of a lot of our adjustments that we made, last year you gave us a lot of options that we should be looking at, and I know that she followed through with that. Does that contribute to some of this? Because we seem like
We've got some compound, not just last year, the last 3 years, we've actually consistently been making some changes. So you compound all that, plus the fact that better educated, employee-based, we've done stuff on the education aspect.
In fact, last year, we recommended, actually made some recommendations over the last several years, increasing the specific deductible. There was a great trade-off in the
Yes.
savings and premium, with a minor increase in that specific deductible, but, adding the drug coverage into that specific deductible because of the specialty drugs that are out there, that can, you just don't know. I mean, they can be several $100,000 a year. So you have that protection under the specific as well. So the improvement that you made in the quality of the plan, as well as the education, all of that combines, to your point. And the plan is running well. Plus, I believe that All Care is feeling pressure because that opening up that network. Medical Mutual has all been in their network. United Healthcare has all been in their network.
They a few months away.
Sorry,
Anthem's a few months away.
Anthem's a few months away. But it's not that they did, wouldn't have done the right thing anyway. I'm sure they would, and they did, they have. But competition's always good.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Well, and you compound that further with, we've had a lot of newer hiring, not saying this from a discriminatory aspect, but we've got a lot more youth within our ranks, too, that I'd have to believe.
That's
Impacting that.
I like that. Well, you're right, though, it is.
We have, if you look between,
We do.
Go to that road department, all young bucks.
and there's still some recommendations that we'll talk about later. There's still some fine tuning to be done. So the only thing I recommend is when you look through part of the plan that was in the presentation tonight, there's still maybe some changes effective June 1st, 2017. So, yeah, so there may be there's some ways that the plan, maybe to help with some spikes that are in there right now.
anybody else have questions?
I remember a few of these meetings when
Oh,
we were
yeah.
just, it was a struggle.
It'd be like a little tense, not tense, but a little lot different than that.
Mark assured me they were going to take it easy, and he said, "We'll make sure it's a good renewal for you."
I told Mark he had to come, everybody would want to see him the last time. So- Well, not the last time, right?
You're gonna still be doing, you're gonna be involved in something, you can't just let it.
Can't just let it go.
You just can't retire.
You gotta do something, still be
Like a
something
visit.
involved with it.
Mark's been one of my mentors, so I'm just tickled to be working with them too.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That's
good news.
very good, thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen. That'll conclude our work session at 5:34 p.m. Back and reconvene our regular meeting at 6. So,
That was so good. It's absolutely beautiful.
bring a call to order this meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees. Everybody will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before us, we have our agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections by fellow board members or department heads at this time?
Yes, Mr. President, I have a sheriff's thank you that I would like to add under the sheriff's report, just in case they get a call, so they're here to hear that. And then I also have a new business number 5 that I would like to add.
I'm going to put this under unfinished business road levy.
I also have one for Parks 5, Parks update.
Just part that's under park,
Parks update, number 5.
Scott, so which one did you say?
I just said under unfinished business.
Okay.
Do we have anything else by anybody? Okay, the agenda will stand as amended. That being said, we will start out with the sheriff's report, and I'm going to turn that over to Sergeant Hall.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Well,
Staying nice weather?
so far.
All right, it's our monthly report for April 2017. Calls for service was 958, about a 5% increase from last year. Crashes were 53, which is down 10% from last year. Crashes with injuries were up, we had 8, which is, we only had a couple last year, so it's like a 75% increase. Alarms, 105, which is an increase from last year. Traffic stops, 137, which is up 11% from last year. Citations was 116, which is almost a 30% increase from last year. 51 arrests was also up 39% from last year. We did 153 vacation checks. There was 3 OVI checkpoints conducted in Plain Township in April at no extra cost to the township. And detective activity report, that was covered by the county detective bureau. Don't have any numbers from them for that.
As far as just clarification, I know since we've just been adding the bodies as part of our levy commitment, is it fair to attribute some of this increase in stop citations and so forth
So the
with the additional bodies? I know it'll probably take that entire year for us to get a fair 12-month.
Yeah, with the extra
comparison.
manpower, we have, you guys have, calls are dispersed a little better, so there's more officers available to do that extra stuff, the extra traffic stops and everything. Then the second page is just the comparison from last year, and then the 4-year comparable. 2014, there was 932 calls for service, 959 in 2015, 907 in 2016, and then the 958 for this year. Any questions?
Thank you.
Kathy?
Kevin Springer on behalf of Sheriff Meyer, if it pleases the board. In reference to detective position, we do anticipate having that filled no later than the end of this month, hopefully sooner. It's going to depend on where the person that is ultimately selected, what their current job or duty assignment is. So there's kind of a domino effect as we start moving bodies around, and definitely by the end of the month. So.
Anything else? Thank you, gentlemen. Lisa, your second item?
Yeah, I just wanted to read the thank you now, so our sheriff deputies in the audience could hear this. It says, "Hi, Lieutenant Weisberg. Thank you for arranging the ride-along this past Friday with the Plain Township Patrol. I rode along with Officer Hamil for the evening shift and got to see a number of traffic stops, a follow-up on a domestic issue, and a car versus deer MVA, among the many issues going on that evening. Please thank Officer Hamil for allowing me to ride along with her for the shift, and pass along to Sheriff Meyer that he has the best trained deputies working for the Stark County Sheriff's Office. Officer Hamil obviously enjoys her work, and everything about her shows the professionalism that has been taught by the Sheriff's Office. Again, my thanks for allowing me to have this ride-along, and my thanks to Officer Hamil for allowing me to be part of her patrol last Friday. Best regards, Kirk Baxter." That ends the Sheriff's report.
Is there anybody in the audience that has anything for the sheriff's office before we move on?
What was the question?
Does anybody have anything for the sheriff's office regarding issues before we move on?
Not exactly.
Okay. You can see in public speaks. Unfinished business, road levy renewal. Joe, I hate to steal a little bit of your thunder, but the board wants to say thank you so much to our residents. Even though we realize it was a lower voter turnout, when you still look at trends from when the absentees first posted all the way throughout, there was monumental support by our constituents / residents on this 77, 78% passing. I mean, even with that percentage voting, if you took that out with a higher voter turnout, that would have continued to trending. So anybody that wants to look at it statistically, we owe huge thanks. Because I mean, the public is, every time, whether it's fire, whether it's police and road, we've had, strong turnout, strong support. I think it's due to the fact that we're doing what we're saying we're doing, and we've exhausted essentially every other, cost savings, cost cutting effort. And essentially these resources are going to allow us to fully, keep on track with pulling in the paving cycle, because our life cycle replacement got drawn out pretty hard. So to knock out 17 miles next year, another 17 to 18 this year, we're helping to pull that back down to that 10 to 12 year cycle. And I mean, quite frankly, it also, these levy results reflect upon the guys that are out in the streets every day. And I know we got two of our road guys right here. That goes for everybody that you work with. And, just as our fire levy renewals and our sheriff's levy renewals reflect on the guys that are feet on the street, we'd just like to thank everybody for pulling together and making that a success. So.
Same thing.
No, thank you, no, well said.
That'll conclude unfinished business. I'm going to take it to new business. I'm going to turn that over to Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution which we had our extensive work session over, so I'll just read the resolution. Is it be hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to accept the attached proposal with Alt Care Insurance to administer Plain Township's medical insurance program for the period of June 1st, 2017 through May 31st, 2018. Alt Care Insurance will be the third-party administrator, the reinsurance, and also the network. Be it further resolved that Administrator Lisa Campbell be entrusted to sign all plan documents for the renewal on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
I will so move on new business number 1.
Second.
Discussion during the work session. I mean, it was thorough. It was actually probably the quickest one we went, because this has been the most serious and most focused renewal proposal we've had out of the gate. The initial renewal come back 4.65, which quite frankly we should be ecstatic about in and of itself, but through a little additional negotiation we got it to 2.52. For the sake of public record and anybody that watches me, that's unheard of. I negotiate our healthcare insurance renewal at my full-time work, and if you're lucky to see low double digits. So between a combination of changes that have been plan-wise over the last couple of years, to as well employee engagement, education. I mean, and then, you know, Altman sharpening their pencils and being serious right out of the gates. We didn't have to have a special meeting or go a couple more meetings. So, you know, for our partners at Huntington to all here, I mean, this is huge for the sake of the taxpayers, because I mean, this, you look at 2.52, that's pretty much inflation.
It's unheard of. It's unheard of across the other townships, the county, the state of Ohio. It's got to be, I mean, I feel like we should just take a minute, just celebrate it. It's just unbelievable, this renewal, and I just thank the board for, and Tom also, for the time that they have invested into the self-funded insurance, the changes that they have made to the plan, the wellness program that they have allowed the employees to take part of, and the education that they've allowed to come into the township, so that all the employers who use this plan are better users and are more educated about the plan that they're using to be better users of healthcare. And that's why we're seeing a renewal like this, because when you look across it, the other people who bid on our plan, the increases were 14%, 23%. To get a 2.5% increase is just phenomenal, so thank you.
Any further discussion, fellow board members? Okay, no further discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 2 is the Walk for Heroes, which I'm going to turn over to Chief Schallenberger.
Thank you. Well, the fire department wanted to do their part to try to raise money for the Veterans Park project. So we are sponsoring a kind of a walkathon, I guess you call it. It's going to be behind the station on the Snyder Trail in Veterans Park. We're going to have some of the firefighters lead the walk. If people want to run, they're going to do basically a 3-lap. It's not going to be a sanctioned Subway Series type thing. We're going to try to keep times for them, so at least they know if they are running. And we have some good sponsors. American Red Cross is going to be there, going to help us with some water and stuff like that. Chick-fil-A and Mission Barbecue, and obviously Stark Parks for letting us use the trail. So anybody's welcome to come. It's more of a, you know, I guess you call it a family kind of thing. You can walk with your kids, whatever, go past the monument, and then, you know, we're going to have some coupons for Chick-fil-A and some other stuff they can get if they make a donation. So, but we're, you know, trying to at least pay for maybe one of the polls, and go from there. But, I have flyers. We put a sign there by the trail. It's on the Facebook page. And then obviously, if you don't want to walk at all, if you just want to make a donation, from what Mr. Wolf had put together, the 501(c)(3) Heroes Honored link, you can go there and just donate if you want to put $20 or something, you know, like that, if you don't want to show up that day or can't attend. So,
Thank you for your guys' lead on that effort to help that hillside continue to.
yeah, we're excited. We're hoping to get a good turnout. The weather's good. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here.
What day is that, Chief?
June 3rd and 9 a.m. And right behind the fire station, there's parking in the park, and then the station, and then hopefully we'll have overflow. We'll go across the street to the school.
Yeah,
So,
it's available on the website.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have, we're going to have to temporarily suspend the regular meeting. We've got a 6:15 public hearing for the riparian corridor, resolution 568-17. And I'm going to turn that over to our zoning planning development director, Mr. Farrar.
Thank you, sir. As you know, the zoning commission heard the text change for the riparian corridor and denied that text change. This text does not deal with the waterways themselves. So there was a question about dredging and that type of thing. We won't control that at all. That'll be controlled the same way it has been through Ohio EPA and Stark County Soil and Water, Army Corps of Engineers. What it does deal with is the land adjacent to the designated waterways. And it deals with setbacks, building uses on lands adjacent to those designated waterways.
Well, I think to get started on this, I know we had quite a bit of dialogue, outside of the zoning board, just efforts by the administration and the board to get details from Stark County Soil and Water. So I want to make some comments at first. Lisa, thanks for taking the lead on that. But there are a lot of points that the zoning commission, in their full sense of legalese and dragging this thing through absolutely unnecessary facets or perspectives, came to what I think is a bad recommendation to the board. Some of the things, I know within the last dialogue, the commission's concerned that the Stark County Soil and Water, Ohio EPA, and Army Corps of Engineers already have regulations in place for the waterways. Why would there need to be another regulation or agency to get involved? This board, hands down, has never looked at add additional unnecessary, non-value-add bureaucratic process and waste. Rich Roan from Soil and Water, there currently is no regulations in place with either of the above organizations. That's why we took the action on it. If the applicant has met the requirements of the state and or federal agencies, why would they need to obtain another permit from Plain Township? Well, clarification through soil and water and additional research. As a township, you would not need them to take permit out if they are outside of the limits of concern. This type of regulation would be more directed towards new development within the township. In my time with Stark Soil and Water, I have not seen any adverse effects from the same type of regulations within Jackson Township. So we have a peer township, equal size. Back to another concerns. They're concerned that it's an illegal mandate, that it'll place undue burden on the zoning department. And they wonder what statutes are already on the books in the state of Ohio that would already cover these corridors. Again, to clarify this point on why the board brought this forth, this mandate should not cause any burden within the zoning department. However, what is enforced should be from the moment the regulation is passed, not past practices. So essentially from a grandfathering aspect. As always, our office will, that being Stark County Soil and Water, would assist the township zoning with any type of issues related to this regulation. Many of these items should be caught beforehand by the way of the review process by regional planning and Stark County Soil and Water. Currently, no other regulations are in place statewide or countywide for corridors. I could go on. There's some additional sub-points, but I'm going to turn it over to you, Lisa.
Yeah, the reason this started is we're in our NPDES permit with the EPA, and we're required to create riparian corridors, riparian setbacks, which regulates land use within certain distances of streams, rivers, creeks. What we're talking about is our portion of the Nimishillen Creek, which runs through Plain Township. And the reason that we want to regulate that is because we want to control flooding and limit the erosion of the stream bank. So also, protect habitat and reduce water pollution. So the way that is done is you establish setbacks. So let's say, in ours, is it 25 feet?
25 and 50.
25 and 50, depending on the water level. So 25 feet, in some areas 50, where you're establishing not to anything that's already existing, new setbacks. So if somebody says if their house abuts the creek and says, I want to build a driveway that abuts. No, obviously, they will not be able to do that. Or a shed that abuts the creek. Doesn't make sense, because if it abuts the creek, you're going to have stream bank erosion. So you're enforcing those types of issues. The reason Jackson Township first did it and why Plain Township is doing it is because we want to do what's best for Plain Township, our community that, you know, we know best. Before, what happens in Summit County happens in Stark County. Summit County came through and they established setbacks for the entire county, which may not work well for, you know, different townships and villages and municipalities there. So we, of course, want to set what works best for our township based on the way the creek runs through our township, not the way that the Nimishillen Creek runs through Canton. Don't care. I mean, of course we care, but not as it, how it affects our residents. So that's why we wanted to do this. Plus, the EPA is saying, you have to do this. If we don't get it done, then fines start coming down, because it is part of the Clean Water Act. So it's not like we can ignore it and say, no, we're not going to do it. So our language is actually good language. There's nobody that oversees this language somewhere else, like Soil and Water or FEMA. It doesn't make it any more complicated in the zoning office. If somebody says, hey, I'd like to build something I think you can work out, they can apply for a variance, and it can be looked at by the zoning board. So it's not totally restrictive. But in that setback area, the land has to remain in its natural state, and it is for the good of the creek and flooding, which nobody wants, and for the water and the habitat. So that's what we're talking about with a riparian corridor.
And it should be noted furthermore, this had went before regional plan,
Approved
who
it.
actually recommended this for approval of the modification of the proposed text, so as to put it in further perspective.
Yes.
And our language pretty much mirrors that of Jackson's,
It
correct?
does, yes.
So,
The only thing that might change is our setbacks depending on, you know, the way the creek runs through Plain Township.
Being 21 years of doing this, Joe, put your thinking cap on. How many house and residents have we been to because of flooding problems? That they put up sheds, they put up fences, they put up trees that we had absolutely zero control of because they did it in floodplain zones. And there was nothing that we could do about it. In this particular case here, this is giving us the right to have that setback and to be able to control any type of flooding that could happen. You and I have been here, how many yards have we been in that we couldn't?
It's probably countless. We probably can't even count. I mean, we're dealing with one now that's continued flooding, not just the shed, it's the home, the whole home gets flooded.
Along the Nimishillen.
So this gives us a little more control now. If they want a variance, no, let's fix. Nimishillen, are you really gonna put a boating dock there? I don't believe that's a creek for boats.
Yeah, you can't boat.
So, if there is someone that does have something that wants to go up and they ask for a variance, we look at it, they go through the process. But this gives us control. You and I had no control of those other allotments, and those people had flooding problems. So this now is telling us, hey, we're asking for these setbacks. You need something built there, ask for a variance, it may not pass, but at least we have more control. We're helping more our neighbors that line this, because if you remember, there's some of those neighbors that was sad and walked and past them and someone couldn't help them because somebody did. And you remember what we did up in Wellington? That fence that went through there, it was a mess. So this gives us control.
we had a petroleum tank once that did that same thing. They didn't want it close to the house, they put it way in the back. It was probably in a spot that this would have not allowed that to be. And because of that crazy flooding process, just lifted it right off the foundation.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
And now we'll educate our residents through the newsletters, through, we'll see if the plain paper will allow us to put information in there. We'll do our website. We'll get the message out as, you know, as best as we can. So the great thing is now we can take snapshots across the Nimishillen Creek in real time and see what's in there now, and then we'll know when something new goes in. So,
We can't do anything about this, anything.
anything that's existing is grandfathered.
But it's in a situation where somebody removes a shit. removes
Yeah,
the
they
shed.
remove it, it's no
Correct.
longer grandfathered. Right.
So,
Just better control.
For the sake, I mean, outside of this, is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the board with specific comments on this? You could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Suzanne Garver, 5915 Linder Circle Northeast. I have grandchildren that last year wanted to fish in the Nimishillen Creek. It goes through our backyard. The County Corps of Engineers came through and dredged it, 38 years ago. So we lost half our backyard to the other side. But I called the city health department, and you can't go in it because of the runoff from the farms. And he said dog waste, and I don't know about septic. But here I had gotten some little wave runners, and they were just floating behind our house. They can't do it, it's toxic. There's no fish anymore. We used to have, yeah, the ones that eat all our fish from our pond, not the cranes, no, the big birds, the heron. We used to have heron roosting in there. There is now a whole lot of squirrels.
Yeah. And these are issues through our NPDES permit that we're, as best as we can, trying to resolve.
And our bank is eroding.
Yeah, it is.
And our neighbor got a bathtub that went down the creek. It's stuck on his property now.
Anybody else on this specific matter? Okay, no further comments. Is there anything by the department heads or board? Okay, then I'm going to make a motion. It's a decision of the Plain Township Board of Trustees has determined that the public hearing held on Tuesday, May 9th, in regards to Amendment 568-17, after consideration of facts presented, a motion was made to recommend approval of Amendment 568-17. I'm making that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Okay. That will conclude the public hearing on the riparian corridor regarding resolution 56817 at 6:27 p.m. We will reconvene to our regular meeting agenda where we will pick back up under new business, number 3, with our administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Before you, I have the resolution for our OTERMA renewal, which reads, be hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to accept OTERMA insurance renewal rates for the Plain Township property casualty and vehicle insurance package with a $4 million liability limit for the period of May 5th, 2017 through May 5th, 2018 in the amount of $97,788.06.
I will so move on new business number 3.
Second.
Discussion?
Obviously, OTARMA has been doing this insurance for a long time. We get really good rates. The agent with that has actually been writing the township's insurance for maybe 45 years. So he's very familiar with it. He scrutinizes everything. He makes sure that replacement costs are going to be based on what they should be. We've added monuments. We've looked at all our potential for any type of loss, even in today's technological world. That includes all of that. I think we're getting a good price based on the amount of coverage and actually what it does coverage from a full coverage standpoint.
Well, actually, it was just last year too that we actually made increase where it was noted that was still in us room for growth, and we have had some of that growth, so there's still room there to work with.
And Otarma is the one company who has a reserve and is distributing it back. So we're gonna get a check back for $6,046. And then, since we've been with them for over 30 years, a $300 check also. So, and again, we'll be applying for the 2017 more grant. Typically, the department heads, there's one more grant. We kind of fight over who's gonna get it that year, so.
Is there any further discussion regarding the Otarma renewal? No further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution to approve and authorize payment to Worsler Brothers Landscaping for April 2017 in the amount of $2,400 from Fund 01A26L.
I will so move.
I'll second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. My item number 5 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to approve the purchase of accessory equipment for the 2017 Ford Utility Interceptor Sheriff Vehicle in the amount of $2,717.53 from PAR Public Safety Equipment from Fund 09A07.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion.
That's for our first sheriff vehicle that has come in.
Nice. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And finally, that's the end of administrator's report, or new business.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell. We'll take us to the fiscal officer's report. I'll turn that over to Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in the amount of $97,636.78.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
Council move authority to pay.
I'll second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment for the following medical claims.
I'll move on. Fiscal officer number 3.
Second. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report for the month of April.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to see Tom.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for resolution to authorize the following transfers.
So move on fiscal officer 5.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for resolution to authorize the Plain Township Fiscal Officer to enter into the attached agreement with Mr. Dave Yost, Ohio Auditor of State of 88 East Broad Street, 5th floor, Columbus, Ohio, 43215, to contract their professional services to satisfy the township's audit requirements for the years 2015 and 2016, and be it further resolved to authorize payment of up to $15,250 to Mr. Dave Yost, Ohio Auditor of State, to be taken from Fund 01A19.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And Fiscal Officer number 7 is a request for a liquor license by Craw's 30th Street Pizza.
We've already had to follow up on that through the sheriff's office. There's absolutely nothing there, so based upon that feedback, I say we go ahead and, number 7,
Oh, that's
crosses,
Yeah.
30th Street Pizza,
Yeah.
so.
just read it.
And that concludes the fiscal officer report.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. Going to take us to the administrator and turn that over to Lisa.
Okay, I just have one resolution this evening, and it's to designate Lisa Campbell as the official designee for the Plain Township Board of Trustees for public records training.
So moved. Administrator Warren.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Sabo. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. With the administrator's report, we'll take us to fire and we'll turn over to Chief Schaller.
Okay, thank you. Item number one is our monthly report, and just for the pictures on the front there, we had all the Plain local and St. Michael's schools, kindergarten classes come through the fire station. So we had about 550 some children come through the station over the last week or so. And
Chuck, tell the board what the one boy said.
oh, he said it was his best day ever in his life. That's it. So it was, they were some good kids this year. We got a lot of, even Sparky showed up a couple of days. And thanks to the parks too, because they let the schools make reservations at the shelter. So they actually visited the fire station, they had lunch at the shelter, played, kind of alternating classes. So it worked out nice. We had one day, well, not so good, but good things.
I have to say, I think, I stopped in Saturday and just seeing the guys over at Central, and I saw the letter / picture, and I think it was Scott Kelly's door. Was it?
Yeah, that's in our
thing.
thank you thing. We had a couple of
Okay.
classes, sent some thank you cards.
I mean, when you see that stuff, it really is awesome, because I mean, guys are taking the time, the energy. So,
Probably
She was
was,
Sparky.
probably was the teacher's best day ever, too.
Yeah. The kids were occupied, so.
okay. Any questions on the report? Okay, next item.
And then item number 2 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees for payment to Physio Control for maintenance contract for the following heart monitors, Light Pack 12, 15, Light Pack 100, and Lucas machines to expire on 3/31/18, not to exceed $16,000.
I will so move on fire number 2.
Second.
Discussion. Chuck, just to clarify, I mean, a lot of this equipment's newer equipment, it's stuff that we use based upon how we staff and operate to keep hands free up, whether it's the Lucas machines for the chest compressions.
Yeah, those are all our heart monitors for each station, so they have to be, to do, PM checks on them, they do batteries, service contracts. Basically, they fix everything on them all year long. And that's for all.
Those are all high
Yeah, those are
liability items. So to have that
$25,000
documentation, that they are routinely validated,
Yeah.
it's well worth it.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And number 3 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees for purchase and payment and shipping for firefighter personal protective equipment from Fire Force Inc., not to exceed $2,600, to be taken from Fund 10A09G.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Again, so to the road department, Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to sound redundant, but I'd also like to thank the voters for their overwhelming support of our levy. And many things that you said were true that'll help us get our goal of 10 to 12 years on paving over the next few years. It also gives us the ability to buy equipment to keep it updated and help let the guys be able to do the job more efficient. So once again, thank you very much.
It's a reciprocity.
It's a team
You know,
effort
they-
from all of us.
I mean, we don't decide the level of service. The people that vote decide the level of service. That we have to make sure that, we pay attention to what it is that we're giving back. And when they're happy with what we're giving back, I think the reflection of that percentage indicates They're okay. Good job.
Item number 2 is the monthly report for April. If you have any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer them. Real quick, before I almost forgot, Mr. Leo, our scooping will be finished tomorrow. I know you take out of that.
I've always done this.
I saw a little bit of grit over off the phone. Oh, wait, that's not.
That's what we don't do.
It's always nice, we spoil our residents, and trust me, I get calls out there, thanks for getting the roads sweet, grit.
Item number 3 is a list of our 2017 paving and road repair bids. We received 3 bids. They were very competitive this year. And as you can see, they kind of fluctuated on some prices for asphalt compared to some prices for tag coat and stuff like that. Plus, we added 1,500 foot of curb repair that we needed to do to the bid this year. Central Ally was our bid there.
Actually, that's not the tightest we've seen bids in a while, because there's only about a $75,000.
I know.
Yeah, they were
Spread,
close.
so.
Tack coat probably separated a few people if you look
I
across
can't
the
believe that
top.
fluctuation, I don't understand that.
One's giving it away, one's charging you public money available for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Joe, you're looking at 17,
17.6 again.
17, so it's,
That's
Basically
that's
what
about
we
10%,
did
that's about 10%
Yeah,
of
that's
our
right.
road miles, because we're right around, what, 178 or 180,
that's
180?
darn good, man, that's very good.
Are you still deciding on the roads, Joe?
No, we got our list now. Sometimes we over analyze our bids and add more asphalt to the roads, and sometimes we got extra money coming in, that we didn't spend it. If we got another road that we think we should add, we'll add it if we have enough money. So we always up the numbers a little bit just to cover ourselves.
Especially when you know it's at that price.
The word we got and then the price we actually got were 2 different things.
Yeah.
So,
Fantastic, 17,
They
almost
stayed
18
about
miles.
$1, that was about it.
It's unbelievable.
So, everything come out good.
Very good. That's amazing.
Item number 4 is a resolution to award the 2017 Plain Township Paving and Road Repair Project to Central Ally, lowest bid and best bidder.
I'll move on road 3.
Actually, it should be
Road
4.
4, sorry.
I will second that. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution to award the bid to Central Ally for the hot mix 448 asphalt milling and paving marking and curb and gutter replacement for 2017.
I will so move on road number 5.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Road 6 is a resolution to authorize the purchase and installation of 1 snow and ice package from Glenhill Road Machinery under the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program for our new dump truck that should be coming in within a month, not to exceed $57,021.70. And I will explain the difference between these 2 bids.
I will so move on road number 6.
Second.
Discussion.
You see the bid for Glenhill, and if you scroll down to the other bidder, he was not supplying us with a plow, so there was an extra cost for that we went to Glenhill, and some of the stuff inside the complete bid was options on his, so his ended up being $5,000 more for the bid.
He's priced it out different.
Yeah.
Play the
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah. And the bed, all that's stainless, right? With the exception of the
Everything's
plow.
stainless,
Yeah.
except for the plow.
Yeah.
So what is the quote's 57?
57 versus the other one's 62.
If you read it, it says 46, but that did not include the plow
Plow.
and some other things inside that.
Yeah.
Were off. options instead of standards.
Wesley Gaines. No further discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 7 is a resolution authorizing posting of no parking signs for the lacrosse tournament in Diamond Park allotment on those streets listed below to be posted, Friday, May 12th, and taken down Monday, May 15th, to be posted on Friday, May 19th, and taken down May 22nd.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And item number 8 is a resolution authorizing the posting of temporary no parking signs for the lacrosse tournament on the north side of Diamond Street from Middle Branch to Diamond, and Middle Branch from Diamond to Prospect on those same dates.
I'll move on, Road 8.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now complete road takes us to zoning department. Mr. Farrar.
Thank you, sir. The first item on the agenda is a monthly report.
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
The second item on the agenda are the abatements. There'll be abatements A through L.
I will so move on zoning abatements A through L.
Second.
Discussion. Tom, you've done a phenomenal job last year. The only reason we probably have some of these are because of rainfall.
Well, most of these are the habituals that
Yeah.
we're
These
catching
are all
first.
recurring. Most
Yeah.
of these are all the recurring, which is
Yeah.
good. You're already on top of no phone calls now. It's awesome, because normally, especially that Rolling Ridge one, every year I get that call. You guys are already on
I'm
top.
afraid to ride through there on my bike or hear somebody.
Yes.
So you're on top of them, man, because these are the repeats. Here they are. A lot of them.
ones you come to know and love.
Yep.
Any further discussion on zoning 2A through L? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
That's all for zoning, sir.
Okay, so, yeah, take us, Parks Department, Mr. Steinberg.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 1 is our monthly report.
Any questions on anybody?
You'll see on his monthly report, one of the last things is they've done some plannings along Alpine to restore the repairing corridor.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize and approve payment for the rental agreement for Porta Johns through Miller and Company for the lacrosse tournaments, the 13th, 14th, 20th, and 21st, all included for a total amount of $57.85 from Fund 4808A.
Also move.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 3 is a resolution for the purchase of a Pepsi product for not only tournaments, but the rest of our spring season all the way through June. Total of $2214.62 from Fund 14A05A for the pop, Gatorade, bottled water, lemonade, and iced tea.
I will so move on Parks number 3.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment for not 1, but 2 invoices from Know Your Roots for the total of $34.25 from Fund 01F08P for the services mentioned for the farmer's market.
I will so move on Parks number 4.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes.
What a phenomenal show out. Unfortunately, I saw lots of pictures because I was at an academy class in Cleveland, but I heard that place was literally packed, overflowing for parking, so great work. And working with Jenna.
It's been a wonderful partnership from start to finish. It's amazing to me that when you come up with a unique idea of a food truck, it doesn't go. But when you add the farmer's market to it, and you add the knowledge of Jenna and her team, and the resources that we're able to allocate on top of that and the partnership, it tends to work out really, really well. And it's amazing if you get a 60-degree sunny day and you provide some entertainment, some food, and some fun. We were packed. We had people parking across the street at Glenwood High School for the better part of the afternoon and evening, and we'll certainly welcome that all year long.
As far as Alan, I was just talking here, do you know when she's going to look to incorporate the wine?
I do. So we're in contact now with a couple different wineries. We're talking about a couple different levels of involvement, and we're going to see what fits for them based on not only what their product is and what they want to sell, but also you have to remember they have to harvest grapes and things of that nature too. So we're ironing out those, and we expect them to come in periodically throughout the entirety of the season. I'm guessing from what I hear, probably next month will be the first round of appearance by wineries. And please let me clarify once more, they are completely unopened, sealed bottles of wine that cannot be opened nor consumed on the park premises. They're certainly welcome to purchase them, take them home, as Mr. Lino so eloquently put a few weeks ago, enjoy the bottle of wine with a nice dinner that you may have picked up at the market. But please, please, please do not open or attempt to consume any of those products on property.
Our friends in the back row take care of that.
To be honest, a couple of our folks in the back row were present. We had some deputies come through on shift that grabbed a quick something to eat. We had a lot of the fire department there. I know Joe poked his head in. We were busy. Lisa's
busy.
Lisa's been having a paycheck on.
I bought something from every vendor, I think.
Yeah, it's been very successful, and we expect a big year. And thank you to our friends at the rep for the wonderful coverage and help in not letting folks know that we're here and we're going to be here for a while. That's all.
It's awesome.
We'll plenty of food there tomorrow, I promise. And bring your dog, because there's a dog treat lady, and my dog goes crazy.
Oh, they were the best. My dogs went nuts. I obviously didn't buy enough for them.
On this, I need roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 5, simply a few updates. I'm happy to report finally, if nothing else for the ceasements and phone calls, the dog park is open. We've cut it 4 times in 2 days. The grass is growing crazy. There's not an ounce of dirt to be seen. Thick, healthy turf. And I can promise you, I saw on my way out of there yesterday afternoon as our guys were finishing the park to open that there was literally, and I kid you not, I wish I had taken a picture, a line of dogs and their human companions waiting for the lock to be removed from the gate. So we're off and running, no pun intended. The playground has opened in phase 1. There's a nice playground over there. There's a lot of different activities and challenges for kids of all ages and abilities. I actually got the opportunity yesterday when I was over there, meet with some of my guys that were maintaining the park, and saw a grandmother playing with her grandchild on the equipment, which is what that equipment is designed for. All ages, all ability levels to utilize. So we hope that that continues to happen. We are told that the rest of the equipment should be installed by the end of May 19th. Again, we are told, but we'll see how that transpires as we go through. Outside of that, Active is up and running. We've had some pretty nice success with it, and checking our reports and making sure they reconcile properly and things of that nature. We still have a few bugs to work out, but all in all, the registration process has gone fine. When we go to reconcile the reports of the deposits that have gone on weekly, that Tom's office gets, it's gone well. So we're looking forward to adding the extra DLCOs and getting the extra departments on here in the next couple months once we're sure that everything is happening like clockwork every time.
And huge convenience to the public, so they don't have to struggle to find out when they can get in here on their work schedule, but even more so, at least from this side. I mean, Tom predicts probably more control, less hands touching cash. Makes for a happier state auditor as well. So
the parks director that failed every math class he ever took is also very happy for the cash control policy. I'll point that. Hey, I'm not proud. I'm honest. Last and final update is we have sent notice out to the Diamond HOA about all the events taking place at Diamond, including our tournaments. They were sent out at the beginning of the month. I have not heard any correspondence back, but it was sent to their HOA account, so they are aware of what's coming. I'm lucky to have the road folks help out again. We'll have a deputy on site, obviously we'll all be there, so we expect a pretty busy but successful couple weekends here coming up. Outside of that, it's just that time of year.
Okay, thank you. It's nothing under the law director. Takes us to communications. Ms. Campbell, or do you want to turn that over to
I think Chief should, it's the best communications we've
Okay.
ever gotten.
That's an awesome one.
Chief Schallenberger?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this was from Mrs., I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it, Mazzaneri from Worcester School? I think that's how you pronounce
It
her name.
says bar.
Bar.
Oh, it's a bar, I'm sorry. So, she had sent us a note too, I'm sorry, bar school, she's a bar. Anyway, yeah, just a picture of some of the kids that were there and sent us a little note afterwards, and so we appreciate it. So it's it's a good day. For,
You gotta read the note.
Oh. Okay, it says thank you, it says we loved our field trip, we learned to stop, drop, and roll, we learned that firefighters have safe clothes, and we know to go to the firefighters. So that's for, if they're in their house, to come to the firefighters to be arrested. So,
You better read everything we signed it.
good luck. I don't know, some of them were kind of
He's gonna plead the fifth.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
So.
Right, it's close to yours.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is fun stuff to enjoy to see it. and stuff.
Absolutely.
That concludes communications. Portion of the meeting, public speaks. Anybody that wishes to address the board, state your name and address for the record again, Ms. Garber.
So again, Suzanne Garber, 5915 Linder Circle Northeast. First, a compliment. It was so nice to see that street cleaning machine come 2 times around because there was so much stuff. They couldn't get it the first time. So thank you for that. A concern I have is the loose dogs in our neighborhood. And every time that it almost feels life-threatening to me, situation comes up, you guys help me an awful lot. The first time I called Lisa and a Rottweiler had come out, I walked this very energetic miniature Schnauzer, and the veterinarian said he needs to be walked 3 to 4 miles a day. So we're out walking, and a Rottweiler came out, and I'm thinking, after watching Cesar Millan, if I shout louder than he's excited, then he'll back down. But his 2 other housemates, 2 other mid-sized dogs came out, and I'm surrounded by these dogs, and they aren't backing out. The owner is close. She came out. She couldn't handle the dogs and capture him. I called Lisa. She contacted a deputy, and the deputy called me. I'm not sure who it was, but thank you, because you made an impression, and I have not seen that Rottweiler since. A week ago Sunday, I'm walking my dog, and an English Mastiff decides to take off down his driveway. I can't react fast enough. I didn't see it coming. He had my dog. The owner came running down the driveway, tackled it, and he's hitting it with his fist. And I have shortened my walk in this, probably a 3-mile, you could do a 4-mile if you wanted to. In Sherwood Village, I have cut out streets, and I can't get even 2 miles in. There are dogs that are not a threat, but they're loose, and they'll come out, and my dog will just start barking, even though I've taken him to training, but I think I need more training. I used to be an owner who had a dog that was loose, and I didn't exercise her. And I think owners just don't know that they have to have their dog's leash. Now we have a neighbor 3 houses down who has 2 litters of pit bulls.
What's she got?
I'll tell you, and I think it's a community thing. I don't think I can lay this on you guys. I think you can be helpful, but if there's a number of us that can come up with maybe something helpful, because I can't even walk down my own street now, and after the being attacked by the English Mastiff, I'm walking 4 houses from our house. and a neighbor had her German Shepherd and a little dog out in her backyard loose, and the little dog sees us and is coming, and I'm watching now, and the German Shepherd starts coming, and she called the Shepherd, grabbed it, and I said, please don't let your dog go.
Mr. Garber, I can fully appreciate what you're dealing with. I've got 2 dogs, and obviously one's a shepherd and one's a pug.
Yeah,
Not
we used to
exactly
raise
the
shepherds.
brightest of all things, so when other dogs come, like, oh, let's play, whereas the shepherd gets defensive and wants to, yeah, you can pass that message along to my wife, she'll grill me for the pug comment, but, literally, our best first line of defense is gonna be calling the sheriff. I mean,
Well,
is there
I
anything we can do
called-
with leveraging the game ward?
Yeah, and the dog warden lives in our neighborhood, and he's helped us out a number of times, and he came
Okay.
Sunday and everybody's been helpful, but it doesn't solve the problem.
Is there any way, Lisa was just noting, is there any way you may know what the addresses of some of those?
Oh, I know them all. I mean, we've got a couple on every single street.
Not that you,
And you can't go, I think, 2 or 3 houses from the dog catcher. Even the dog catcher, he's saying people don't realize what a liability is. And when owners don't exercise their dogs, then they're even more likely to.
Well, I think I can do a letter in the next newsletter about our home rule resolutions, that they have to be on leash, they can't run at large, but can you take those addresses, what she has, and?
I'm wondering if we couldn't put like a sticker on mailboxes warning. Here's a German Shepherd on Chaucer who, there's an electric fence. I know it's there, and I think it's a game for him, but he comes charging out and he'll scare the crap out of him.
Well, couldn't, Captain, couldn't you, if she gives us the addresses,
We can go deliver a
I
copy.
mean, would you
home.
mind, this way, it might prevent our deputies have to go out every time. This way, if we go on time and tell them, hopefully we'll be respectful.
Wait, I mean, there's even something like greyhounds or Weimaraners, and they aren't a problem, but they'll come out across the street, and my dog's an instigator. And I don't know what'll evolve if he starts barking.
You actually have a very active crime watch organization in your neighborhood. You guys held a meeting out here not so awful long ago. There's probably 70 or 80 people showed up. It might be worthwhile for you to reach back out to the neighborhood
Okay.
crime watch, because
Okay.
they can get that word out inside all 3 of the
yeah,
neighborhoods.
because there's a neighborhood application, I think, it's like an online notification app, and I think it's My Neighbor or Next Door or something like that.
Okay,
Because
if I have
Denise-
trouble, if I can't find it, can I call you with that information?
I don't know the exact name of it, Denise Evans,
Oh,
I
right,
believe.
yeah, she's a,
She
yeah.
really helps spearhead a lot of that, so she would be highly
That's
likely
right.
to know.
She lives almost across the street from the
Yeah.
Rottweiler.
Yeah. Outside of that, I mean, we can be posting it on our social media. We
Okay.
can put it on the front page of our website as a reminder, because obviously, hey, we've been fortunate to have some good weather, but it's only going to continue to become more warm and
Yeah,
more
right.
more animals outside, so
Yeah.
we can hit it on the social media platforms. Hopefully our friends in the press may put even just a little plug in tomorrow's newspaper on that.
I
And
appreciate
then,
that.
as well, we'll do a reminder in the newsletter, but if you get date or addresses, I'm sorry, addresses, you know, whether you want to get those direct to the sheriff or, I mean, call in Township Hall, we will make sure it gets to them. So as they're out and about, hey, we can make a courtesy knock of, hey, you really have to, otherwise next time we come out, we're catching them.
Okay. And then bringing up the, what is that called about the creek? The
riparian corridor.
Is there a fund, does Plain Township have a fund to get water tested? Could we get, if I wanted to get the, I call it the Middle Branch Creek. It is the Nimichillen?
Yeah, you can call.
Well, it's the middle branch
Of
of the Nimichillen
Nimichillen.
Creek.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to get it tested, I would have to do it myself, is that correct? And to get some of those chemicals, it's gonna be over $1,000.
Could.
It's all unfunded mandate, so I don't, yes, so I don't think anybody would do
Is
that.
there any action that can be done if you get data? Does one need to form a group? I think input from a lot of people is better than one person doing something.
Honestly, I don't know if there's a good answer on that. As far as, you know, maybe additional folks taking samples, but giving that to live flowing
Yeah, what do you do with it
water,
then?
you know, outside of a note and a date and a time, you'd almost have to take multiple samples
Yes,
to
yes.
show whether there's some consistency there, or is it spiking where, hey, a certain period, which if it's something spiking, then that should be telling, hey, it's planting season, the farmer's been spraying, you know.
Well, 2 years ago,
Fertilizer.
there was a
Just shouldn't
group
be in it.
that was taking samples from the creek of living things to see the health of the creek. Did-
I don't
No,
know.
no.
Did you know there was a spill,
Yeah.
or did it go down by by Highway 62? It was that, I think, was it that chicken place that caught on fire and leaked stuff?
It's been a while.
That's been a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
it-
been good.
Yeah,
Yeah, wanted you to know.
Yeah, that was,
yeah,
those were hydrocarbons.
yeah.
The hydrocarbons usually are a priority for everybody, including the EPA.
Okay,
But those are visible because you can see the sheen on the water.
that got all taken care of. That's real close to the Canton well field, isn't it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garber. Anything else? Public speaks? All right, that'll close public speaks. Concerns of trustees, anything by my fellow board members?
Thank you.
Okay, concerns of the fiscal officer, Mr. Wolf.
No concerns.
Thank you. It'll take approval of the minutes for April 25th.
I will make a motion to approve April 25th's minutes.
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Yeah, I can second just to, but I would have to abstain from voting on it, so. Okay, there's, let's see, approval minutes. There is need for executive session, so be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn the executive session at 7:06 PM. And this regular meeting is authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose and consideration of 1F, compensation of a public employer official, 7A and 7B.
Second.
Discussion?
School gets
Roll call.
out, I think we're gonna.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.